I really wanted to give Velma the benefit of the doubt. I've always been open to different interpretations to well-known franchises and see them in different scenarios and relationships. I was really hoping that despite all the changes and the unfair critiques to them, it will be overcome by great animation and storytelling. But oh my god, Velma failed demonstrably. Never have I seen such a slap to the face in this addition to the Scooby-Doo franchise. The more I watched these 2 episodes, the angrier I became from the amount of stupidity that I was witnessing on my computer screen. The amount of negatives compared to the positives is so astronomical that the positives are absolutely getting run over by a car. The story is horrible, the characters are terrible, the animation is actually pretty alright. But overall, this was a complete disaster from the get-go, and we are going to dive right into that. So, let's start off with the positives, right? You know, the whole good news and bad news trope. Let's follow that. It's gonna be quick though. The animation is clearly very pleasant to look at. The animators certainly looked like they were having fun with what they were allowed to do with the cast in a more mature setting. They are not shy to go all in on the big beats of the show, and definitely gives us time to appreciate some of the visuals. I'm all for the choices of the character designs, as I personally believe that changing the ethnicity shouldn't impact any of the characters' personality. If I were to show you a random scene from this show and give you no context to it, you would say the animation is pretty darn good and appreciated. Too bad everything else is a pile of shit. Alright y'all, you know you're about to have a bad time when literally the first 2 minutes is basically TOS. They pulled no punches on what they wanted Velma to be, a meta humor simulator. That's literally what it is. It is meta humor, the show. Like, you know how obnoxious YouTubers are when they are trying to make their audience aware by saying, "Oh my god, do you know that only a small percentage of you guys watching are subscribers? That needs to change." Imagine that, but every 3 minutes in a 25-minute span. You should totally subscribe though. The show focuses way too much on trying to be self-aware of the tropes it's portraying. Not to mention the amount of disrespect that Velma shows to its viewers watching.
You know what 420 is, right?
Yeah. It's code for adults who still watch cartoons.
I don't smoke, you asshole. Also, I feel like they're doing a disservice to those who desire a more progressive mindset to their shows. It feels like they just want to push all the negative stereotypes for conservative talking heads to make fun of in their $1 million podcasts. The way they discuss bad tropes while doing said bad tropes is just something to scoff at. Not to mention how they come up with the most insensitive racial jokes I've ever witnessed. What makes this worse is that this is supposed to be an overall story, which makes the whole idea of meta humor much more unbearable to witness. It's incredibly difficult to mix the two, and very few shows are able to pull it off. And do not get me started at what was supposed to be major moments of the show. Every single one of them is forced, and I mean forced. Like the relationship between Velma and Daphne just screams gay pandering for the sake of it.
Easy, Dr. Phil. I'm the brains of this operation. You're just the look, style, and effortless charm.
We do make a good team, don't we?
Hey! You two should kiss!
These are just the taste of the crappy storylines it tries to push so hard on you, which shows how they put the story on the back burner because animation totally doesn't need decent storytelling, right, Daph?
The only hook a good show ever needs is good storytelling.
Well, tell that to your goddamn writers. They're trash. Every single character is trash that's burning in a dumpster. It's crazy how they were able to give any of the characters zero traits to their previous encounters whatsoever. My stance when you're going for a change in characters like this is to have some sense of familiarity that longtime fans of a franchise can dig into. This show has none of that for any of the characters we know. It's already bad enough Scooby isn't featured at all, though it might be a good thing cause God only knows what they would do with him in this setting. Anyways, this cast is incredibly unlikable in every facet of the imagination. All of them are incredibly selfish and entitled. All of their desires feel like the writers are trying to find something to make us feel sympathy, when really it's just a tool to give them something to do for development. So let's look at each one and why they suck so bad.
People only think you murdered Brenda because you...
We're voted most revengey in the school yearbook. I know. Oh, those yearbook guys have no idea what's coming to them.
She's a bitch. There's simply no other way to put it. The amount of grudge and hateful nature Velma shows off is incredibly off-putting. For a person who is supposed to be very self-aware and curious by nature, she barely shows off that trait unless the plot demands it. When it doesn't, she's just a snarky gremlin that will go out of her way to hurt your feelings. Not to mention, she's hella gross for no reason, and the story likes to let everyone watching know that nobody likes her no matter how hard she tries to pander. And why would you with how she treats those she's close with like afterthoughts at best? I'm all for main protagonists that aren't the nicest of people, but they need to have some sort of likeness. Velma has none of that going for her, as she is more hollow than a rotten carved pumpkin.
I see. Well, for old time's sake, I'll give you the file.
Really?
For $500.
Oh look, another basic bitch. By the way, did you know that she was Asian? Because the show will go out of its way to tell you that she's Asian very often. Not just any Asian, but an adopted one at that. Apparently those are important character traits you need to know, which I guess makes sense since she's literally a fraction of Velma's level of jerkness. There's nothing else going for her outside of being the jerky popular girl and weirdly Velma's biggest rival turned love interest. I swear this feels like something you read from a fan fiction. I'm pretty sure it will go down the toilet very fast, and when it's said and done, she will be seen as forgettable by the end of it because there is nothing of interest outside of being a reskin of Emily from Until Dawn.
Understand the palm of my hand, bitch.
Great. I just hope people can actually think I'm a little kid. Ah, crap, I'm all syrupy. Bathies!
Why? Why do they enjoy punishing him so much? Yes, he is also a jerky white boy that is unlikable, but a bunch of assholes jumping on one asshole does not make me feel satisfied with what I'm watching. The way they abuse Fred further shows how they portray the progressive mindset in such a poor, disrespectful manner. They literally portrayed him as freaking Hitler as he tries to clear his name. This honestly screams white replacement theory with how often they dunk on this dude for simply existing in society. Oh my god, look! Fred has a small pee-pee. Oh my god, look! He doesn't know how to feed himself because how privileged he is. Oh my god, look! He can't contain his emotions like what a man should do. You see what I'm talking about? The show just uses him as a punching bag for simply not following the liberal society that the show fails at portraying. And he tries so hard to portray a manly image of himself that he would rather be charged for murder than to be seen as an emotional baby. Like what most of the Tate fan base believe is the right choice. Good job, Velma.
Wait, you stoners watch Norville snacks? Damn it! This is exactly what happened to my vlog about Lil Wayne.
You know, it's probably a good thing that he's not named Shaggy because he is not that dude. This is another male that gets crapped on for being a sensitive guy that simps for Velma. While he definitely isn't the most egregious of the main four, he certainly is portrayed to be the weakest with a beta male attitude. They make it clear that him and Velma are a lost cause from the very first scene that acknowledges his existence. Not to mention how often they want you to know that not only is he not a stoner, but overall anti-drugs. Basically making fun of the fanbase once again about whether or not Shaggy is 420 friendly. He's actually the character they use for a lot of the Scooby-Doo references, but in the worst ways imaginable. Like, come on, Norville snacks? Really? That's the best you can come up with? The portrayal of the guys in general is incredibly shallow and insincere. Like, it feels like the show is trying to uphold this unattainable image of what manhood is like. You've been pampered and you didn't work on anything in your life? You are a weak man. Have feelings for a girl and will try anything in hopes of her liking you back? You're also a weak man. They get punished for being negative stereotypes of men to the point where they are seen as outcasts. The minor characters also exist just to friggin' exist for diversity purposes and nothing more. The dumb lesbian detective couple makes me want to bash my head against the wall, Velma's parents are inconsiderate and only acknowledge how crappy their daughter is, true but very annoying. Fred's parents are a basic rich couple 101, and I don't really remember much of Norville's mom, so yeah. Anyways, Velma has left a horrible impression. The animation is decent, but the show is so focused on the meta jokes and nothing else to the point where it sours everything the Scooby-Doo franchise has stood for. They are so focused on checking every single box of a progressive viewer to the point where it feels soulless at best to absolutely disrespectful at worst. Velma is nothing but a baseless cash grab that over-relies on being self-aware rather than telling a genuine story. Velma had potential to be a solid outside-of-the-box piece of media, and they threw it off a goddamn cliff. Thanks, HBO Max. What a way to present the next generation of cartoons on your platform. F***ing end me now.